Moving on to the factions as they appear in the notes. Starting out, we've got the US Forces Ambulance. Now receives minus 20% damage when in the HQ sector. So this will stop those random scatter shots from like way across the other side of the map, just sniping ambulance in the base. Used to happen quite commonly, well, somewhat commonly on Langreskaya, or just like regular base assaults with a tank. It'll take a little bit more to take down that ambulance, make the ambulance a little bit less vulnerable. Especially, you know, it's tough for US forces. They don't have proper mines to put on the edge of their bases. Those temporary mines, you know, tanks can generally just shrug them off. So change there, making the US Forces Ambulance a little bit less vulnerable. So as you look at the US Forces Ambulance change, you can see now it's got like a shield and a lock when it's in the base sector. That goes away as soon as it's out of the base sector. So you know when you're getting that received damage bonus only in the base sector. Now we're going to go for a bit of a base inspection with this Puma here, see how that makes a difference. The machine guns will be able to finish it off, or if you're going to have to guarantee get 2 shots on here. Yeah, it's going to need to be 2 shots. The machine guns alone won't be able to finish the job on the ambulance. Now we'll see if the story's different here with the Panzerwerfer, with the pin tool upgrade as well. See if this will be able to take down the ambulance with just 1 shot and a bit of follow-up from the machine guns. Showing up the re-echelon the base there. But yeah, so a medium tank with the machine gun upgrades will be expected to take down the Panzerwerfer in 1 shot. But something with 120 damage like the Puma, probably not. The M1918 bar. Given that US Forces infantry rely on double bars to fight other infantry late game, we are reducing the drop rate on the bar to make casualties less punishing on US Forces side. Drop rate is going down from 33% to 15%. So stop the bar pinata, especially if you've got double bars, you know. Quite common to drop the second bar as you drop down to 1 model. Though I do hear rumours that this might go up to 20%, 33% to 15%. Might be slightly too much of a change, but keep an eye on that one. Rear echelon. We are reducing the reinforcement cost of rear echelon to better match their combat performance. The unit is also receiving a slight increase in veterancy requirements to match their current cost, along with their ability to take weapons from the racks. The reinforcement cost is going down from 25 to 23, which is kind of nice. So, you know, at 25, they're not even that much cheaper than riflemen to reinforce, so kind of weren't even incentivized to equip team weapons with them or anything. You don't get that big of a manpower advantage, but you know, a little bit of a nudge cheaper. Also helpful if you're like charging forwards, try to use them as a bazooka platform. The bleed won't be quite so costly, but their veterancy requirements are going up by a decent chunk. Riflemen are getting a change to the way that they access their anti-tank grenade. Now it's going to be unlocked through tech rather than at Vet 1. So the Vet 3 ability minus 50% ability recharge bonus is going down to Vet 1. And then the Vet 1 veterancy requirement for anti-tank grenades is removed. Instead, now you get the anti-tank grenades from your officer tech. So not from the first stage. So, you know, if you get the lieutenant out, you then need to go for the extra side tech. Or same for the captain. Or you can just go double officers and you don't have to go for the extra stage side tech to get the anti-tank grenades unlocked on your rifleman. So here we are checking out the USF rifle grenade changes. And as you can see, I've got the captain out, but I haven't ticked the second stage yet. So that is what is required to get access to the anti-tank grenades. So I'll tick that now. And because now riflemen get their cooldown bonuses at Vet 1, I want to check how fast the rifle grenade cools down. So I'm going to do that. At the same time, I'm going to launch a Faust here. Compare their cooldown speeds. Wow, that is really fast. Even faster than Faust by a significant margin. So that's going to make it a lot easier to just like mass anti-tank rifle grenade down light vehicles in the early game. That's interesting. That's a big change. The M1 81mm mortar is getting its barrage changed, reduced in scatter. So scatter angle, it's kind of like how wide it goes. It's getting reduced during barrage, and then the scatter distance max, that's how far it will go, like top and bottom. That's also getting reduced, so should be a decent chunk more accurate when it's barraging. This will also affect the British Lend-Lease mortar. The 50 cal is receiving quite a few changes and is being adjusted to take longer to set up, and this should make it easier to outmaneuver and easier to punish when it's caught in the open. Ready aim time has been adjusted to make it more consistent, and the weapon should be harder to death loop as models will jump onto the gun and respond more quickly. The retreat speed bonus it had over other units has been removed with the adjustment of attach time. So the ready aim time is going from variable from 0.375 to 1 to just a flat 0.5, so it'll be a bit more consistent. You know, sometimes it feels like the 50 cal takes quite a long time before it starts firing. Now it should be quite consistent, you don't have to wait a whole second. The setup time is being increased from 1.375 seconds to 2.375 seconds, so a whole second increase there. Attach time is going from 1.3 seconds to 0 seconds, and the retreat speed bonus is going from 3.15 to 2, so standard, same as everything else. So we're testing out the revised 50 cal here, and you can notice like right away the increase to the setup time. Definitely noticeable, so this is going to impact the 50 cal, especially if you like to just like move it around, which is very, very common. The extra setup time might end up getting you punished, but still does pack up quite quickly. I'm going to try to test out the attach time here, and because you know the new formations, it's actually kind of hard to target the gunner. So we're going to try to do it from the rear here. Probably lose one model, and then hopefully the gunner models start going down after that. Yeah, so they walk over like a regular speed, but you can see like once they get close to the gun, they jump onto it like really fast. So I believe that's what the attach time change does. They run onto the gun at regular speed, but boom, they jump attached to it like really, really fast. So yeah, those are the changes to the 50 cal. The M20 is getting some pretty big buffs here. The build time is going way down from 55 to 35 seconds, and the skirt cost is also going down by 20 from 70 to 50. So that's a pretty big buff to the M20. Kind of fallen out of the meta. Maybe, you know, it doesn't have enough of a window before the 222 arrives, or the looks or whatever else. So now, you know, you get a bit more time on the field with it doing damage. Maybe it'll be worthwhile again. The Stuart is receiving some adjustments to one of its abilities, the point blank engine shot. It's not going to be quite so point blank anymore. Range is going from 5 to 15, and the cost is going down from 60 to 45. And the engine shot now slows the vehicle speed by 50% and rotation by 25%, 6 seconds rather than causing any damage. By comparison, I think target weak point on a pack is 75% speed, 5 seconds. Just a quick comparison there. Engine shot can now be used on the move, and the aim time is going up from very, very short to 1.5 seconds. And the Stuart now doesn't cancel movement commands when giving a targeted ability order. This is an experimental change. So first look here at the revised engine shot, not called point blank anymore. See, we've got a range indicator on it there. And kind of interesting targeting there. It's kind of got a pretty large circle. Should make it quite easy to click.
Driver close in. Gunner, target.
Just doing on a stationary tank here first to see how it goes. There we go, mobility damage. Looks like it didn't do full health damage though. Didn't do a full 80 damage. Take a quick look at the health table there. So yeah, 40 damage. Stuart usually does 80 damage per hit, so half damage. That point engine shot. I was about to call it point blank, but it's not point blank anymore. Okay, here we go. It's coming in. We'll see how fast it goes now. So yeah, it's slower, but it's not like crazy slower. Might allow you to get a squad in range for an anti-tank grenade or something like that, but yeah, it's not a 50% speed debuff. It's not crazy strong. And we'll try to see how it goes while moving. I got a range on it there and it seemed to cancel. Up against the Jagdtiger here because I want to see if this can bounce against a high armored target. Turn the cooldown down to instant.
Get up there, hit his engine.
So I can just constantly cast it here. So no, after quite a few shots here, it looks like it will penetrate 100% of the time, even against a high armored target like the Jagdtiger. Probably was the case with the old engine shots, just nobody ever used it, so I couldn't remember. The pack howitzer is getting nerfed. Its AOE is being adjusted to have harsher damage drop-off to reduce its potency, particularly when fielded in pairs. So the near and the mid AOE distance is going quite a good chunk down, especially at the mid. So yeah, when this lands on you, much lower chance of it doing high damage now. Should alleviate some of those complaints about the pack howitzer. Got a pretty tight cluster of Volksgrenadiers. I'm going to try attack around right in the center of them. We'll see what the AOE is like on the revised pack howitzer now. So I didn't drop a single model. That looked like a direct hit on quite a few models there. So not a single model killed with that one hit. Take a quick look at the health tables on this. Looks like we can drop a model down to 12 HP, but seems to be about the limit, 12 HP. Another test on the pack howitzer AOE. I've slightly respaced the squads here, hopefully get us a different result. So that again looked like a pretty direct hit. Like 2 or 3 models there. And yeah, 12 HP. So there we go, pretty good hit into the front edge here. So the squad over here is quite tightly spaced around the impact crater. As you can see here with the UI, and this mod I suppose a little bit further away. Probably the healthiest one there. Yeah, that's what a hit is going to look like now with the revised pack howitzer. The major recon pass is getting a change here. It will no longer lock the major in place while it is active, and can now direct the angle at which the plane comes in. It won't just be like a default north to south. You can angle the plane, which can be really helpful. A look here at the revised major recon pass. You can see the edge of the cast range, but that doesn't really matter too much because, you know, you just angle it whichever way you want it to come in from. So we'll bring it in from that direction. And measure around during this time. Seems to work just fine. It's kind of got like a forward kind of sight. Like that. And now look at the vetted up recon pass. Bring it in from the same angle. So yeah, still 2 planes going in opposite directions there. So let's look at the revised major. The Scott is getting a significant number of changes with the aim to make it slightly less potent as an auto-fire unit, forcing it to get closer to the battlefield, and its barrage capabilities are being adjusted with increased accuracy, better splash capabilities at the cost of 1 hit radius against infantry. It should allow the Scott to better function in an artillery role. So the auto-fire range is going down from 60 to 50, so I have to be in harm's way. This will be especially noticeable as OKW, you know, with the Recon at 55 range. Now the Scott's going to have to be a little bit closer, put itself in harm's way to make use of its auto-fire. It's a pretty big change. AOE near is going down from 1 to 0.75, so it's going to make it a little bit less lethal. Barrage angle scatter going from 6 to 7, so that's the, you know, the scatter this way. It's going a bit wider, so it could scatter horizontally a bit more. But the scatter max is going down, so it will scatter less in the distance direction. And the barrage damage is going down from 100 to 80, so it won't be able to one-hit snipers anymore with the barrage. The AOE damage profile is being changed, so it's been decreased in the near, but increased in the mid and in the far, though you have to also account that it did get a slight just overall damage decrease. But yeah, it looks like it'll be slightly more potent than far, but definitely less lethal in the near. The Barrage HE AOE distance is going down in the near by a decent chunk, so once again lowering its one-hit kill potential, but then going up in the far, so it's going to spread a little bit wider. Barrage shells now use mortar explosion effects to distinguish them from the auto-fire rounds. Vet 2 scatter bonus now applies to the Barrage instead of the auto-fire, and it won't be able to crush. So look at the revised Scott, and we can see the edge of the auto-fire range here, right on 50 range. Used to be out to here on 60, though the Barrage still does comfortably outrange anti-tank guns, as you can see here. And that's what we're going to be testing here, because that's what's received the AOE rework. So we'll fire off one shell into this blob. So So you can see the mortar effect it has now. Added closer to the front. And this was the squad probably standing closest to the barrage overall. And this is kind of what the health damage looks like from them. Going for round 2 on the Scot. Pretty good connection close to the center this time. And so that's the kind of damage spread you can look like. Craters over here. So it looks like it will do a pretty good chunk of damage to units standing close to those shells when they go off. So here's an unvetted Scot barrage at close to max range.
Rounds complete. Hold fire. We just gained a veterancy level.
Reasonable damage there. And here's a Vet 3 Scot at the same range, though note that the Vet 3 Scot can fire a lot further than this on barrage, but we'll do it at the same range here.
Take a leg. Gun troop ready.
So scatter on this seems to be really accurate at least.
Rounds complete. Breach clear.
So yeah, once it's vetted up, look at the scatter on that. That is really impressive. Super, super tight. It's going to be hitting just what you want at that kind of range.
Fire.
Going to repeat this, but a little bit further back, see if the scatter is just as good as it initially appeared there. This time we're targeting a bit further back.
Rounds complete. Hold fire.
So yeah, once fully vetted, the scatter on that is really tight, so it's going to hit exactly what you want. The M36 Jackson penetration bonus at Vet 2 is being reduced from 30% to 20%. I believe the SU-85 is getting a similar change to this. The WC-51, we saw a lot of this during the World Championships, so it's getting quite a few nerfs. Step on it, this is the speed boost it gets. It's getting a munitions cost added, going up to 15 munitions. The machine gun range is going down from 45 to 35, so it's, you know, every squad will be able to fire back at it now from 35 range. That's the range that regular squads have, so you won't be able to kite this out of range and out of damage. It will be taking damage in return every time it's firing at infantry. And, you know, this is kind of like an effective DPS nerf, right? Because previously, if you're firing at 35 range, you're at a much like higher point on the DPS curve. But now you're at where it was at 45 range. So it's pretty much like a DPS nerf on top of, you know, just a straight range reduction. It'll make it harder to kite snares as well with this. So that's a big change, a big nerf there to the range. But Vet 1 now adds back a little bit of that range, going up to 40. And the Calliope here is getting a slight nerf. Vet 1 minus 10-second ability recharge has been removed. Quite a few pieces of rocket artillery are getting their cooldown bonuses from veterancy nerfed this patch. Ostheer Infantry Company, this is their Tier 1 tech structure. It's having the fuel costs rejigged. So the fuel cost on Tier 1 is being removed, but that fuel cost is being added to Battle Phase 1. So this will slow down those Tier 1 tech skipping strategies such as Osttruppen and Assault Grenadiers, also the double PIO, double MG strat, which I do like, but you know, there have to be sacrifices. So this will slow down those Tier 1 tech skipping strategies, which are really popular in 1v1 at the moment. Pioneers are having a slight change to their veterancy. Their Vet 3 bonus is going from 15% accuracy, it's getting replaced by minus 23% received accuracy, so it's going to make them harder to hit, which is really nice for Pioneers, you know. Quite often you're not trying to use them in combat at Vet 3, you're just trying to send the forwards doing sweeping and stuff. So making them a bit more resilient to small arms at that stage will be really helpful. And their veterancy requirements are also going down by a decent chunk, so it will be easier to vet them up. Grenadiers are having their formation changed, like we saw earlier, and also a change here to the veteran squad leader upgrade. The received accuracy bonus is being removed from that, so those 5-man Grens from the German infantry commander are getting a slight nerf here. Sniper. The following change was implemented to make it more difficult to wipe out an infantry squad through double shotting. In return, the ability will now reliably stun the targeted squad even if the models are spaced out. So the Incendiary Shot aim time is going up by, 0.75 of a second. Incendiary Shot cost is going down though slightly by 5 munitions, and the Incendiary Shot will now reliably stun a whole infantry squad. Look at the revised Incendiary Shot here. Going to target on this rifle blob here. Got quite a few units standing in close proximity. So you're stunning a lot of them there. Hitting more than one model. Got 3 models there, so it can still hit multiple models. And the stun looks quite potent. Now testing the Incendiary Shot stun here. We've got one model way away from the rest of the squad. Target that. And there we go, the whole squad gets stunned. So that didn't really used to be the case with the old Incendiary Shot. This is the Incendiary Shot on the old patch for comparison. One model standing way away from the rest of the squad. And there we see the rest of the squad doesn't get touched at all, no stun at all. So yeah, big difference here between the stunning potential of the new one and the old one. Panzer Grenadiers are having their grenade range exchanged for recharge due to the lethality of the bundle grenade. So the Vet 3 range bonus changed to a minus 25% ability recharge on bundle and smoke grenades for Panzer Grenadiers. Osttruppen are getting some nerfs. The ability recharge is going up by quite a large margin from 25 to 35 seconds. So this will mean that they'll, flood onto the battlefield much more slowly than before. When in cover, Osttruppen will receive plus 25% accuracy to slot items, partially negating the innate minus 50% they have on slot items. So you have to be in cover, and then slot items will be slightly less useless than they regularly are on Osttruppen. So I'm trying to check here what the impact of the increased cooldown on Osttruppen is going to be in terms of capping up the map. Obviously in an actual game, you might get in combat, things will be a lot different, but this is just to get a rough idea on what kind of impact this change is going to have. And there we go, we'll call time there. So roughly 2 minutes to capture half the map. And there we go, captured now. So to get roughly half the map, it's not that much slower. The Brumbier bunker busting barrage, given the strength and power of this ability, is receiving a munitions cost to better reflect its power. So it's now going to cost 30 munitions to that bunker busting barrage. It's very, very strong. 60 range barrage. Very good at taking out anti-tank guns and blobs. So now it's going to cost 30 munitions for the trouble. Panzerwerfer is receiving quite a few changes here. The Vet 1 counter barrage ability is being removed and being replaced by low angle rocket barrage with 30 munitions. Fires 10 rockets into the target area at a low angle with 0.25 cooldown between each rocket. We'll see that in the demonstration. And the Vet 2 recharge bonus is going down from 40% to 20%, similar to other rocket artillery pieces this patch. So here's a look at the new Vet 1 Panzerwerfer Barrage. Looks like it needs a proper name still in terms of the mod, but we'll take a look at it here. We're doing this at around 80 range, because this is kind of the range that you generally want to go for these like close range Werfer barrages. Still a safe distance away from anti-tank gain at 60 range, but still quite close to try and minimize the scatter. See, it does go quite a lot further than this potentially. We'll do it at this range.
Hanomag raining terror and death.
Oh boy. Oh, that looks pretty strong. The rockets do come in, not all at once, but they land with some impact. That looks quite good. So we're going to do a test here. The Calliope firing at 60 range, like how long it takes between targeting and then the rockets landing. And we'll do the same for the low angle barrage here. Do a quick comparison on the times there. Same video, but now we're changing what we're measuring here. Now it's the time between the rocket artillery pieces making noise and the rockets landing, so giving you an indication of how long you've got to dodge at this short range. How long it takes between targeting and then the rockets landing. And we'll do the same for the low angle barrage here. So actually slightly faster than the Calliope, and that's known as a close-range white machine. The Werfer rockets do come in more slowly, but they look like they had pretty good AOE on them, so that looks like a really strong ability. So I'm going to try to do a direct head-to-head comparison here between the Calliope and the Werfer. Got the Werfer over here, Calliope over here. 8 squads of conscripts, both. I tried to space them out roughly the same. They might not be exactly the same, but just kind of have to live with that, unfortunately. Both on the screen at the same time. Let's just compare. So it looks like the Calliope maybe has slightly higher alpha damage. You know, you saw quite a few models drop like immediately. But in terms of like overall wipe potential, if they stay in the targeting zone, looks pretty similar there. Looks like the Calliope also might be slightly prone to shooting slightly short there. So yeah, it looks like the Werfer Barrage does stack up really well against the Calliope. Ace mines are getting a slight nerf here. They're now going to deal some suppression, so as you're running over patches of them, it says 2 to 3 patches, and then you get suppressed, and they'll kind of stop you from running into further patches quite so quickly. Squad will slow down, giving you more time to react to those S-mines, so you don't just lose a squad without even noticing. Testing out the S-mine changes here. I've got a full S-mine patch here, kind of protecting the cutoff. Same story down here, protecting the fuel. I'm going to run over this one. 6-man conscript squad. This one with a 4-man combat engineer. And maybe they've got the flame wrench here, the sweeper. See how the suppression kicks in. But one thing you'll notice straight away is that the warning flags are actually invisible. Doesn't get mentioned in the patch notes. I'm not entirely sure if that's 100% intended change. I know that was being experimented with, so I have a complete answer for you guys on that one. But have a look here. Okay, so the flag gets revealed once you're in range. There we go. It gets suppressed now, but I mean, I've already lost 4 models. So it'll definitely slow you down a bit. With like a 5 or 6 model squad. We'll go test that now with the combat engineers charging in over here. But man, you're still going to drop a lot of models. Let's see if it'll kick in on the combat engineers in time. Okay, it does there. So I don't know if that was just RNG or whatever. So we'll give you a bit more time to react to suppression, but not that much. And if the flags are going away, S-mines are going to be really strong. So I'm going to do a retest on the S-mines here, but both times with 4-man squads. See the flags there. 2 models down straight away. Okay, there we go. Suppression kicking in. So that does give you a decent time to react thanks to the suppression. Slows them down a good chunk there. Try that again here with the 4-man squad again. So yeah, maybe it was just because the conscripts were so clumped up before. Not a huge time, you know, slowed down by suppression on that occasion. So yes, okay, that's what S-mines look like at the moment. A huge thank you goes out to my Patreon backers, and if you enjoyed this video, consider coming on board.